As a sober life coach, you know I'm a fan of setting goals. And my Peripeteia podcast sponsor, Sunnyside, helps you do just that. The Sunnyside app is the #1 moderation app in the United States, helping you set weekly goals to think more carefully about your drinking choices. Sunnyside is easy to start, and they're offering the Peripeteia podcast listeners a risk-free trial. You can grab it by going to sunnyside.co/DTD to get started. Simply set a plan that fits your goals, then plan and track your drinks. It's all risk-free, and I can't wait for you to get started. www.sunnyside.co/DTD. Thanks, Sunnyside. Hi, babes. Listen up. You landed here at the Peripeteia podcast, and I'm so glad to have you. Enjoy these real girl talk conversations about the things that matter. From the ordinary to the extraordinary and every plot twist in between, I welcome you. Life has a way of throwing us curveballs, and these are the stories of female resilience while navigating change with newfound purpose. This is Peripeteia. I'm so glad you're here. Let's embark on this journey together. Here we go. Welcome, everybody. I am so excited. I have Dedee Pfeiffer on today. She is an award-winning film and television actor, producer, and global influencer. Most recently, she was a series regular as Denise Brisbane on ABC's Big Sky. But Dedee's career has included numerous appearances on television and film, as well as producing and acting in her own award-winning short films. She starred opposite Grace Jones in the horror cult classic comedy Vamp. Dedee played Sybil Shepherd's daughter, Rachel, as a series regular in Cybil, which won numerous awards such as Primetime Emmys and Golden Globes, including Best Television Series, Musical, or Comedy. Dedee has guest starred in some of the most iconic series on television, including Seinfeld, Friends, both CSI series, and ER. What I love about Dedee is basically everything, but mostly I invited her to come on this podcast before this podcast even aired, and she immediately said yes. Dedee has a master's of social work, and after addressing her own addiction, she is now passionate about recovering out loud in the hopes of sharing help with others. She has her own podcast, Down with Dedee, which is at a little hiatus right now, getting a facelift. But I met Dedee through Instagram and recovery, I guess, somehow got connected and loved your energy, Dedee. I didn't know you had a master's in social work, and I also have a degree in social work, so no wonder that makes sense to me now. I love how out loud you are, and especially as a celebrity, somebody who's in the public eye, for you to share your story so openly, it matters. It really makes a difference. So thank you for doing that. Will you share a bit about your personal recovery journey, and we'll get into it here?
Yeah, man. It's a journey, isn't it? And fun.
Continued, ongoing, yes, of course.
Yeah, it's like anything. You work on it if it means anything to you, right? And living, being alive, and authentic and healthy is huge. And I think and a big part of that is making sure that I spread anything that I have learned, spread that to others, because I call them little golden nuggets, little zingers that along the way you hear or you see, you go, oh, I like that. And you grab it and you put it in your toolbox. Because it's through a time, time of your life where that can, it help get you through those really tough times. Because the challenge in life are not the easy time. So I hope that being on this podcast, somebody listening to it helps them through a bump in the road at the very minimal, right?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. So it's cool because when I asked you what topic you would want,
Yeah.
you said it gave me goosebumps immediately. I was like, okay, thank you. We're going into it. We're not going to say surface level. We're actually going to do a dive, and you're going to share. You're not going to be an actress at all. You're going to share something very real with us. And I appreciate that. You said how you went from identified problem to identified solution. And I think you credited your therapist for some of that. So I would love to know that. Tell us about where you were at when you were identifying your problem.
Well, I was very lucky to go to a rehab. By the way, there are a lot of really good rehabs, and there's a lot of ways in which one can get sober or lean in or deal with their addiction, whatever their DOC, their drug of choices. And it doesn't have to be alcohol, it can be drugs, so it can be sex, it can be gambling. There's a lot of, addictions. But however one comes to that conclusion where they decided that whatever it is that they're using to a point where their life is damaging or affecting their life in a negative way, that's at that point, and that's different for everybody, is when they decide, I want to change. Like, I don't want this anymore, right? So one would call it your bottom. Not everyone has a bottom. My
Mhm.
answer was, which bottom?
Yeah, and I'm like, I tried to ignore personally, I tried to ignore that for as long as possible. Like, could you see that it was affecting you, but you didn't want to address it just yet or ever?
Yeah, you listen, when your addict is in control of your authentic self, which is what's going on, if you think about it. When your addict is in charge, poor little authentic self is buried in there. And when that authentic self tries to come out to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm better than this. I don't need this. I'm tired of feeling like shit. I'm tired of disappointing myself and other people. And somehow that addict goes, no, 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 we're fine. Well, yeah, let's go have a drink and think and talk about that.
Yeah,
Harry, you're right back into it. And it
right.
takes you right out of leaning into the most uncomfortable things, which could be some of the reasons why you're using, right? So think that what happens is when I was in rehab, I was very, very lucky. Kathleen Murphy, she ran the clinic and still does. Bree, a life healing center in Los Angeles, an amazing woman, and I have to give her, and also my sober coach and the therapist there, and my family and my boys and everyone around my sober community. All I have to thank everyone for helping me because everyone played a part, whether they knew it or not. But
Mhm.
Kathleen would come up with what I call these zingers that just went boing, and the one that really hit me on a day where I was really struggling with my sobriety, because you have good days and then there's other days where you're like, what the hell am I doing? She said, here's the deal. When you're active in your disease, you are the identified problem.
Mhm.
Not to your family or your community or your life. You are the identified problem, whether you think you're hiding it or not. You know in your heart, and others around you may not be saying it, but they know. The day you decide, you say, I don't want this anymore. I'm going to make a change. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to reach out to an AA meeting, or I'm going to talk to someone sober, or I'm just going to say, I'm not going to drink today, whatever it is. However, it gets you to say, I'm done with that. I want to turn a new leaf and start a new trajectory of my life. In that moment is when you become the identified possibility, is what she said. And I went, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? That just went boing right to my soul. And it's true because I'm going to get teary. When you're active in your disease, you don't like yourself very well, do you? I don't know anybody who's using their drug of choice, whatever it is, and say, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I love myself. I love my life. I'm great. And if they are, they're really lying because one day when they actually, like I said, allow the authentic self to talk and have a voice, they would say, no, I was slowly dying inside.
Yeah.
I was slowly dying, but I didn't know how to say, help. I don't know how to stop. I'm embarrassed because there's still social stigma. There's still all this crap around asking for help as if it's a weak thing. When at the end of the day, asking for help is one of the biggest. I'm sorry, you got some big Weiboses when you can say, excuse me, I cannot do this by myself. I need a little help or maybe a lot of help. I don't know. But because if you could do it yourself, you would stop and we called it a normie. You wouldn't be in, you wouldn't have any, right? You wouldn't be, yeah, I know people, not people don't like titles and that's okay. So let's not use the word you're an addict. That's fine because it's pretty harsh. It has a lot of social stigma around it. You have an issue with something that's not adding to your life, but taking away. And sometimes we need a little to show us the way how to do it differently. And so language is important. Words we are really important. So when she said that, I went, oh my God, that's so me and so many of us. And she said, you went from identified problem to identified possibility. In that moment, you decided because now you're not only going to live a life worth living, because every day now has different meaning. Are you going to change the past? No, we can't do that, can we? But you can certainly change the now. And every moment you choose this path is another moment you get stronger. Work on, I don't like to say self-love, because I think usually those of us with addiction issues go from self-loathing or hating to go from self-hate to self-love is all or nothing thinking. And 0 to 10 is really a big pill to swallow, no pun intended. So I would like to say you work on baby likes. Work on little baby likes. What did you like today? A little one that you did that you liked. Well, I opened the door for an older man who had a wheelchair, and he seemed really grateful that I did that. Did you like that? Yeah. Okay, put that on there. And eventually all the baby likes as you're in recovery turn one day, hopefully will turn into self-love. Sure. But it's a process like anything else. And I think you don't want to set yourself up for failure. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I just turned 6 years sober. Do I self-love myself? No, no.
Congratulations.
I was in the hospital recovering from a hip surgery because the drugs they gave me, I had a reaction because I'm sober. Don't even get me started on that. I said to the nurse, I'm 6 years sober. And she's like, oh, well, that's great. And I'm like, bawling. Oh, it's fantastic. But I was like, I'm sober. This is like, okay. Of course, my
Yeah.
body was like, no, I don't like all that stuff you're putting in it. So it's every day that you choose to lean into or deal with or get through those tough times to change, to make that change is the day that you're showing other people that it's possible. That's what makes you identify possibility. Are you doing it perfect? No. Is there such a thing as a perfect program or a perfect recovery journey? No. Is life perfect? No. So why would your recovery be any different? You gotta take those bumps, baby, just like any other person takes bumps, whether it's just because life is kind of bumpy or freaking recovery is bumpy. So you kind of have to take off those rose glasses. You're on good days and some really hard days. But man, when you get to those hard days, those huevos get thicker and bigger and heavier and you start throwing it over your shoulder. You're like, yeah, look what I did. Because I'm telling you, some days it's just not using. That's it. That's called showing up. My friends would say, I'm having such a hard time, especially the first year. First year was really tough. Those hard days, and they go, did you show up? I'm like, what are you talking about? Did you show up? What does that mean? Talk to me. What do you mean? Did you use today? No. And they're like, you're on. You're good. You're fine. You're more than fine. Because you showed up for yourself. You didn't use. And sometimes that is more than enough. Try again tomorrow to do the meditation. Try again tomorrow to exercise. Try again tomorrow not to eat so much chocolate or, smoke your cigarettes or whatever. Tomorrow's another day. But you didn't use. So you showed up. Right? So that's being the identified possibility. Here's what I love about it. You don't know it, but in your family dynamic, in your community, you're also showing other people who may not have an addiction issue or whatever, that they could change too. There's probably something going on in their life. Maybe they have a love addiction. Maybe they're in a toxic relationship. Maybe they're having body issues, and by the way, if you say shit things about your body's listening. Your body's listening. Be careful what you say, body. I gotta watch that shit all the time. But you show them, I don't know what's going on with you, but I bet you could lean into it. And I bet you could also wake up one day and say, I don't want to do this anymore either, whatever that is. Because stop using something that's so powerful, right? That has made women leave their babies at drug dealers' homes. Something so powerful that women, men, and theys have lost everything because of this, the drug choice or whatever, to be able to, even for one day, say, not today, so Felicia, is one badass, tough person that I think is about as far away from weak as possible. How would a weak person, yet we view asking for help as weak, right? Identified possibility. And that's my pitch on trying to change something in your life.
Sold. Absolutely sold. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. I feel like there's so much hope in that because we are often very stuck in our problem, every finger pointing at us. And we know it, including our own. And we're our own worst critic, of course. Take us back to where you were when you were at that point in your life, when you identified the problem, you felt like the problem in your family and yourself and your community, and what got you to take the step to ask for help.
Well, I think that the question sounds like where was my bottom or when did that happen? I think honestly, there were so many bottoms, and having had some of the trauma I've had in my past, being an actor, I'm certainly an outlier. I'm the crazy Pfeiffer. The whole thing. There's a lot of reasons why people can write it off. Well, she's
Are
divorcing.
the other Pfeiffers not crazy?
No, I'm the only one. No, we just I work Michelle and then me and Lori. My two sisters, no. Well, no, I'm the outlier.
Do you feel like the outlier growing up?
Oh yeah,
What, a little more loud, a little more out there than
yeah.
sisters?
And I felt different than everyone else. I behaved differently than everyone else. My thoughts were different. And interesting because I come from a generation. I was born in 1964. I'm 60. So I was born in a generation where everyone's trying to fit you into the spectrum of average, the normal, whatever that is for every society. Why can't you be like dot dot dot? Even in my acting career, they were trying to get me to be more like those actresses who were already successful. And I remember, thank God, I had some really eventually, because I would beat myself up because it wasn't bad. And I kept feeling like they wanted me to be an imposter, although an actor is kind of an imposter. It was a different kind of imposter. It was like, I'm an actor, I'm a character actor, but who I am as a person shouldn't have anything to do with whether or not I can nail this role or not. But it did matter back then. It really did. This is what people who say we're of the LGBT community did not say that out loud. And there's still some right now from my generation that will not let that out because that will kill their romantic lead future, blah, blah, blah. Also, we were told to be skinny. You had to have thick hair, went on and on and on. There were a lot of rules. So one of them for me was to try to put me in a box. Yeah. And thank God I said eventually that I had, was one acting coach in particular, Roy London, who said, honey, no, don't let him. No, what you're selling is something totally different. I don't give two shits about your sister or all the other blonde actresses in Hollywood. What you're doing is very different. You got to earn it. You got to own it and hone in on it. And when you walk in, you tear that script down, you give them your version of this character. It may not be anything that they're thinking, but they're going to go, holy shit. I don't know what that was, but I kind of liked it. We could be on, I don't know. I got roles. I could go down the middle, but it was because I could give you a completely different version. Everyone else was coming in, giving you the version of what they think you want and what you wrote. Because the way I think, I was like, oh, I saw this and that. And the writer said, I didn't even see that. And I wrote the damn role, and so I scored roles that way. I also lost a lot of roles, but that's okay. I mean, I can do down the middle roles, beige roles. They don't excite me.
That is your superpower, that you're not beige, though, I would say. And attract and repel. I mean, then it's that more no, so I can say yes to the yeses, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm not a competitive actor or woman for that matter. So I'm like, please let another actress who is much better at playing those roles than I am play that role. Like, because you're just going to torture me. I'm not even sure I'm going to end up giving you what you really want, anyways. So let's just move past Miss Pfeiffer over here, the other Pfeiffer, and go get the other actress who can, do that. And it's the same thing, the opposite. If you're trying to take beige and make her purple and a rainbow, and you're torturing her, why don't you let hire me? That's what I do.
I'm hearing know they self, and maybe something that in your childhood and even in your acting career, you were trying to fit in somewhere to be something you thought you were supposed to be. The truth is, you had to let yourself be you.
But again, it took me to get sober,
Yeah.
to look back and reflect that I never fit in and that was okay, but I was never told it was okay. I thought differently than other people. I was never told that's okay. And I was never given permission until I was older. And at that point, the damage is done. Classic conditioning, the whole self-image is just ruined. I was always not enough, blah, 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 blah. And people say, oh, well, I'd feel that way too if I was Michelle Pfeiffer's sister. I'm like, you right there, what you're talking about. She's like my best friend. I love her. We are not competitive. Look at another sister, Lori, who's even she's just gorgeous as shell, but she's the brunette version. It's like Jesus. Like I want a blonde, blue eye over here and a brunette over here with brown eyes. Gorgeous, both of them. And we're not competitive. We were never raised that way,
Yeah.
and we're solidly close. But, so the thing is that they're like, well, no wonder Dedee's ... If I was Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, that's just such a stupid thing to say. And it's an ignorant thing to say. And it's not true. And and they're like, oh, that's not fun. They want the smut, the dirt. It's like, what you,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, if you want that, again, it's best to go somewhere else. Go get a couple
Right.
other siblings who actually are squabbling. We're good over
Right.
here. And again, my family was very instrumental in helping me with my recovery, even though none of them have addiction issues.
Did you willingly go to rehab? Did you know you need a rehab? Did you put yourself in rehab? Did your family and friends do an intervention? What was that like for you?
I think I love that question because my story is a little different. I don't think it's that different from a lot of people, but at that point, you know, when you been drinking or using your DOC drug of choice, whatever, for an amount of time. I mean, I had children and did not drink, right?
Mhm.
I breastfed and didn't drink. I didn't drink when I was going to UCLA to get my bachelor's or my master's. When I would work on any films and TV, I never drank. But that did not mean I was not knocking it back, behind. So there's a clip that, oh, well, she's not in the gutter, drinking all day long. She doesn't wake up with the beer, so she doesn't have an addiction.
Yeah.
That old information that we still kind of have. So I was able to talk myself out of it. But there was no doubt, we all know, in your heart something's not right. Your drinking is different than other people's. When you're thinking, why is she not finishing that margarita or that glass of wine? Why am I thinking that? Why that girl doesn't even give two shits about leaving half a glass of wine on that table? And I'm like, oh no, see, maybe I should finish it for her. I mean,
Right.
you're right. Or, oh, I only drank one in front of my friends, but I have another bottle at home.
Right. It was
Sure.
the same for me. I was so over functioning, she's the perfectionist, high achieving in every way that I obviously drank too much. And then I woke up and made breakfast for everybody and
You.
swept the floor. One time I swept the floor after breaking my leg the night before.
Yep, yep, yeah. I
Yeah,
wasted
total denial.
the whole. Yep, I went to
It's
school.
very confusing. Is this a problem or is it not?
Well,
Because it's not that bad. We think it has to be that bad. Like our measurement for success is, well, if it's not that bad, don't address it. Or if your friends say, you're fine, just eat before you drink, or just have a little less, or like they're trying to protect you. Like maybe you were a little sloppy, but that's okay. It was Friday night. It's confusing.
well,
You never have an obvious ball for grace. You had a lot of little snacks.
it's a very tricky topic. First of all the people who are saying that are going off of old information.
Yeah.
Right? We still have a lot of old information that's out there that it needs to be rewritten. It needs to be thrown out. We now have new information. We now have new things to look at. And I think the high functioning alcoholic or high functioning addict is the one that's really blows all the old information out. My dad would say, who was again, major Philip, he taught me how to be a high functioning alcoholic because he did. That's how he was, right?
Really?
He would say, of course I drink, look at your mom, but that's that generation, you know? So, um, we're still carrying old information that needs to be rewritten. And so anytime you, me, or anybody comes out and does a podcast and says one thing that makes people go, oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be in the gutter, lost everything to have a problem. Damn.
Right.
And also you don't have to call yourself an addict because there's a new generation of people and if you know them, they're actually in their kids. I love it. They're like, we just don't drink.
Right.
Like, oh, so you have an issue, you have an addiction? Now they may or may not, but they're not going there. They're like, we're choosing not to drink. It's a lifestyle that we're choosing. And please don't put a title on me.
Right. I don't like the way it makes me feel. That's it.
And I don't blame them because addict or alcoholic or drug addict or whatever, these are all very nasty terms. They've been
Right.
coded because of
Yeah.
stigma that still surrounds it. And yet, we lost more people to addiction during the pandemic than we did the actual pandemic. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not making that shit up,
Right.
I'm not somebody on the debate stage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't, because I remember it was my area of concentration in college. So of course we had to look at the stats, but we don't want to talk about that because it's uncomfortable. We're also going up against a big, the alcohol beverage, whatever committee, it's like there are certain big, like the pharmaceutical, you have big corporations, institutions, that have power. They're not going to benefit from us knowing that there's new information out there. That's going to be really helpful for us. They can't make money off of that. You know what I mean? So also, it's something else just to kind of, it's a side. Oh, so what happened was I was just years and years hiding and hiding and hiding and hiding and falling and hiding and, and then,
Mhm.
and go a week without drinking and go, see, I have no problems. It's just with all the roller coaster was pretty awful. So at a certain point in 2019, I think it was, I was, first year of my master's program at UCLA, getting my master's in social work. At this point, it was about 8 years. It took me about 8 years to get there. And I knew I'd hit some kind of weird bottom or I was exhausted, is what it was. I was exhausted from hiding and I didn't know how to ask for help. At that point, or if if people were talking about it, I didn't hear. But I do remember watching TV at night and seeing an ad saying, call this 800 number if you feel you have an issue or a problem, anonymously, if you don't have to use your real name. And I wrote it down and I put it next to my bedstand and I put the number there. So I wanted to call so bad. But think about it, at that time, not a lot of celebrities had come out. And if they had, I didn't know about it. Um, and the thought of calling and saying, I'm Dedee Pfeiffer, Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, and I need help was just scary as hell for me. Yeah, on a lot of levels. It was that, I think it was that same week, one of my family members came up to me and said, I need to talk to you. And he said, we'd like to do this was Tuesday. We'd like to do an intervention with you on Thursday. We'd like you to come. Oh, I looked at this person and I started to cry and I said, you don't have to do that. I said, you're going to pluck with that weird car and all you guys write me a letter and then we're going to be on that cable show intervention. And I said, okay. I said, you don't have to do any of that. I will go. I will go
Oh,
anywhere, but please just take care of my children, my animals. I
oh,
just signed to do an independent film literally the day before. I said, and I have this film and uh, my family member said, "You call your agent. You said you can't do that. You're getting surgery, whatever." Just 'cause again, at that time, I couldn't sit.
yeah.
How? If I can't remember the name of them, I'll tell them now. Hey, honey, I'm sorry. It was still so scary to disclose because it wasn't until I went there and I realized that, and then that first year that it's okay to talk about it. It's important to talk about it. That I realized I was suffering because I couldn't talk about it. So it was kind of an intervention, but I always say I blocked them.
You got there first.
And then they were like, they started crying, going, oh, you're kidding me. You're not going to fight us? Because we thought for sure you know. Well, because generally, if you ever try to talk to somebody who's active in their disease, because that's what it is, and
Right.
they're not ready, you're going to get pushed back and you're probably told to F off. You're the problem. You think, that's what you get when somebody is not ready for help. I was ready. I just didn't know how to ask. And when
Yeah.
the family said, we will take care of your children and your animals. And then it was not 3, 4 days later, I was gone. I was at 30-day lockdown, no phone, no computer, didn't see anybody. First time I'd been with my children for that long. Inpatient. It was hard, but yet it was life changing. It was the beginning of my rebirth, is what I call it. And that's why every year I celebrate my recovery. I always call it my rebirth day.
Mm.
People call it their sober birth. I call it my rebirth day.
I love that, Dedee. Thank you for sharing. I've got tears in my eyes and a lump in my throat because it's so beautiful. First of all, I think you and I both, high functioning, also have a lot of privilege. So we weren't on the streets and we probably wouldn't have been on the streets, right? My spouse didn't leave me. I didn't knowingly lose a job directly because of it, right? Although I can't imagine how I was performing in some way, but moving up in my career because it was an old boys club and I could drink along with them. Um, yeah, so I mean, due to just privilege in some ways, it made it more complicated to see that there was a problem. There was more excuses and more cover-ups. And then for you, an added layer of celebrity status and anonymity and what this would mean for your career and a bigger audience of people. I mean, it's hard for us to look at one person, just our sister or our spouse, but to have a whole audience, that was a lot to consider. And so brave that you started to notice the signs and started to pay attention. And that's like the beginning of any recovery process is to start to pay attention. And I'm thinking you, like me, could find some because you always felt a little different. and like you didn't belong maybe, or like something was wrong with you maybe because you weren't like the others. What an easy way to jump ship on yourself. Ignore, again, don't pay attention to yourself. Ignore yourself, pour alcohol on it, and go fit into those situations. When your intuition is telling you, this isn't right, this isn't for me, this isn't who I want to be, perfect. Pour alcohol on that and go do it. Right.
Yep. And it's interesting. Wasn't until I went to rehab, and then for a year straight, I went to AA. Now that helped me. I'm not religious, so I did have issues with that. But then Kathleen was like, "Go into the big book and take all the word God," because I'm really having issues with it. Just go in there and just scratch out the word God. Who's your higher power? Who's bigger than you? D? Are you this? Are you it? Yeah. Are you the biggest, most powerful thing on Mother Earth? And I said,
Well, I had geese in my yard.
Mother Earth is more powerful than me. The universe is far more powerful than me. She goes, that's your higher power. That's your God. So she goes, what do you call it? I go, Mother Earth. So I went in the big book and scratched out God and put Mother Earth or universe.
Yeah.
Because that to me, that does not matter.
Yes.
Someone's religion is a personal journey for them. And if their God is their God and it makes them a good person, I don't have a problem with it. And if it makes them an asshole, I don't have a problem with it. I just would rather you do that over there, because
Right.
it's really not something that I'm, you know what I mean, that I want to support, because
Right.
I don't think anyone's God was ever meant to make someone not the best they're supposed to be. Because I know a lot of religious people who are fantastic human beings, like beautiful. And I
Right.
got to tell you, somebody in recovery who had already had the God, generally has an easier time in recovery. Those of us who don't or had to discover one, have to do a twofer, because
Okay.
it is really important. Whether you use AA or not, there's other programs, there's other ways to get sober, by the way. You don't mean, like I said, you don't have to do that. I needed something once a day to go because I'm a Capricorn and I'm like a goat and I'm like a hard head. And there were times I would go to AA and then come back even more like messed up in my head because somebody said something stupid or snarky, or they were doing that little clicky thing and it was a Hollywood.
Mhm.
I was leaving more like pissy. And my sober coach would go, well, you got to go back now, don't you? I'm like, God damn it. She doesn't, no pun intended. She goes, no, don't go back to that one. Go in your app and go find another one. And I would, and then I would go again. So I'd go 2 times, sometimes in some days, until I left with, okay, that's why I'm on this journey. Because otherwise you could set yourself up for failure if you're not careful. If
Mhm.
you're. So, and also when ego gets in the way, you got to be really careful and mindful of all that. But that's what's so beautiful, I think, about recovery, at least for me, is that it helps on a daily basis, continue to strip away all the elements of mankind that I don't find really helpful when it comes
Yeah.
to being a really amazing human being. Ego is not part of that, all that stuff. It's just being kind to each other.
Yeah.
You kind of to Mother Earth. I'm sorry. She blows my mind. So she helped me get sober for sure. And she's still like I'm on her. I stand on her every day. Sit on her every day. She's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. That's so beautiful, and it's such a good point because the recovery journey, how we started with, right? The journey, it's not about ditching the drink. I mean, shout out to your sober coach. I would love to meet her, and shout out to all sober coaches because it's effective. I get to witness that every day with my clients. But for you, it solidified your relationship with a higher power.
Yeah.
Maybe something that what you had somewhat to begin with, but it was definitely strengthened, right?
I had spirituality when my friend Kenny was alive back in my best friend Kenny. Um, we met out in the 80s. Anyways, and then early 90s was I lost him to AIDS when AIDS was taking everybody. And that was a really tough one for me because he and I were searching for a deeper meaning in life, and we tried to go beside Swami Swahananda or a yogi or at the Lake Shrine in LA. Beautiful, actually. And so we went and tried to learn how to meditate. We were just always trying.
You're on a quest, you're on a spiritual quest, and you're at a buddy to do that with.
Not a trudging buddy back then because he wasn't a drinker. So I really never really drank with him. We smoked cigarettes, but. And then when I lost him, that was kind of, I never lost him. He's still around me. Um, I had a lot of losses at that time. A lot of people left their bodies at that time. So it was a very confusing time for me. And I didn't have religion. I didn't have a strong spirituality to fall back on. Nothing really made sense. And it was my dad passed away right in front of me. All of us were there when he left his body. And it was at that moment, for some reason, in that moment in time where I went, wait a minute, where is he? Where is he? And it bothered me. I didn't know where he was. And other people say, oh, he's with God now or whatever. I'm like, no, he's with your God. He's not with my God because I don't have that same, you know what I mean? So it's very, you have to be careful when you say that. You don't know who you're talking to. And it could actually not be the most helpful thing when you say, well, that's a non-answer for me. I'm not saying your religion is a non-religion or not real, because of course, hey, listen, it is real. God, everyone's God is real to them. Absolutely. I'd never take that away. As much as they can't take away the fact that my higher power is Mother Earth. Can't take that away. Good luck. Good luck. Right? Same thing.
Yeah.
The thing is that I didn't know where he went. And I kept losing people. It's the long story. I lost my life. And so I couldn't find them. I couldn't share where they went. And I lost my trudging buddy to continue on my journey in spirituality, make sense of what life and death and spirit and soul and all that is, right? Enlightenment and another word for all that. So I just tried finding the bottom of the wine bottle, right? And or a bottle or a martini glass, whatever. Numb it, push it down. Doesn't matter. Go on to the next stage. Just kind of, do that. So that eventually ran out. So sobriety gave me the opportunity to go back without my buddy. But then I realized, you know something? Kenny's still with me.
Yeah.
He is, because I told him before he left. This is how we were. I said to him, dude, you need to give me a sign when you get to the other side. It's my big brother. It's crazy. He says, oh, I will mess you up. Because when you're walking down Hollywood Boulevard, I will smack you in the back of the head and you'll turn around and go, Kenny, stop it. And no one will see me because I'll be all like spirit. And then people think you're crazy. I said, double dog dare you. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. I need to know you're okay. I need that somehow you're okay. And he has given me more than a few. And people think I'm crazy and I don't care. So
Yeah. We already said that about you.
and I've had a lot of spiritual people telling me, whoa, oh my God, that's how I have a new wit. My friend Kimberly Meredith, she's a medical intuitive, never met me before, on her podcast said there's some large energy around you and it's telling me that you need to get your right hip looked at. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. My right hip's constantly bugging me when I play pickleball. Constantly bugged me for a long time. I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'm just getting old. Oh, it's fine. I'm just getting old. Later, I went and they said, honey, you're bone on bone, osteoarthritis. You don't got anything left there. You need a whole new hip. That had to have been Kenny.
Yeah.
Always looked over me like that. And he also messed with her video, audio, because she said this has never happened to her before. I said, that's Kenny. He's always messing around with me. So she said, a lot of things happened in the podcast with me that never happened before. And that's my
I love it. Well, because when you live a sober life, you are in touch with your intuition. Again, it's paying attention. It's, you find maybe they were there or not. Maybe Kenny had always been screaming at you, and maybe you saw some of them, but I bet you are in tune to see more of them because you have the clarity, you have the attention, you're not ignoring, denying yourself, so you can be at one and losing people leaving their bodies. I like how you said that actually. That has been a huge part of my journey too, and grief and loss and the whole thing. But we can recover even from that, right? We can reprocess and have a new understanding. And some of your suffering with Kenny was you didn't have a way in your own mind to comfort yourself about where he was.
drinking just kept me so far away from my spirituality, my enlightenment.
Yeah.
The stuff that makes us, souls, or we have a soul with the earth.
Yeah. We're not these bodies anyways, really.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, So also, I think what I really love about sobriety, and again, it's keeping Kathleen, and I do this a lot in if someone has watched me before, they're going to go, oh, here she goes again, but I just love to repeat this. It's one of those zingers that, like she said, you can go through life. I gave it a visual. She gave it an, verbal. She said, you can go through life, resisting or curious. And when you're active in your disease, you're very resistant over a lot of things because it's just exhausting to be hiding when you're active in your disease because that's what you're doing. You're hiding and it's exhausting. But when you finally step into recovery, you have the opportunity to be curious And here's what resistance looks like. Look, this is resistance. Here's
Mhm.
curiosity. Oh,
Oh,
look at
a
that.
hand up, like, stop for anyone without the visual. The hand,
In front of
like,
your
stop,
feet.
talk to the hand,
I talk to the hand.
and
And like
open
open your
palm
hand
to
and look over and look at the view. Curiosity says, "Oh, look at all the stuff." Doesn't mean you have to believe it, swallow it, live it, but just be curious about it. And this is where we can also learn to live with each other and our differences. You and I probably don't have the same politics. I don't know, but that's okay.
I bet we do.
Yeah. But it's like you do. I'm going to stay in my lane. Now that's a touchy one. I know. Will be.
Yeah.
It's become a personal thing now, especially at work. The thing is that there is such strength in working on the depths of your enlightenment. Is the only thing I can call it.
Yeah.
Kind of less superficial. I say ignore the noise, the
Yeah.
dizzy, because they keep you dizzy and busy, right? That's why being drunk and being using it keeps a lot of people in business.
Mhm. Mhm.
Big business relapse, by the way.
Busy and busy.
Dizzy and
Yeah.
busy. But look what happens when you stop that. You come in together and you're right here with your authentic self. You're clear, you're quiet, and you can make decision choices that make sense. You may have tears behind it. I don't know what's going to come up, but I promise you, you're not going to die from the feelings that come up. You're going to die from addiction eventually, for sure, but you're not going to die by allowing those feelings to come up that may have been pushed down for all those years. And, they never tell you that. You feel like you're going to fucking die. You feel like when those feelings come up, whether a lot of stuff comes up after we get sober, a lot. Oh,
Mhm.
1 week I cried every day. It was, oh, wow. In rehab, it was a week straight. I couldn't stop crying. All this stuff was coming out of me that I'd shoved down, shoved down, shoved down for so many years. It came out of me like it was like throwing up, crying, like
Yeah.
and I'd never been more exhausted in my life. And I kind of felt I'd never felt more vulnerable afterwards. But it
Mhm.
felt like literally something dark and just not working for me came out of the tears,
Mhm.
came out of my body when I was curled in a ball on the ground going, I hate this, you know.
Mhm.
Not even withdrawing from alcohol. It had nothing to do with that. It was withdrawing from pushing down all the pain for so many years, saying, doesn't hurt, doesn't hurt, doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Oh, I still crack open all the time. I just cracked open last Sunday after a weekend of connection because something I've been avoiding, and ignoring because I'm still human, right? Was knocking on the door and I finally heard it. But I think in recovery, you recognize you're paying attention so you can recognize it faster, you can address it faster, you can process it, to feel it, to heal it, right? There's not a workaround, unfortunately. But the pain is there, but the suffering is optional. And the stuffing is the suffering, right?
Pain is
There's a thing
inevitable, suffering is optional.
yeah. So we're not afraid, we're less afraid when we're sober because we know we can take care of ourselves even through the pain, even the worst pain of our loved ones leaving their bodies. We learn to take care of ourselves even through that.
Because it can be a painful and bumpy journey in recovery. It's also, you're going to have some of those amazing moments in your life in recovery, but you're also going to have some fucking tough days. But like I keep going back to, that's life.
Yeah.
So if you want to get sober or in recovery because you want a perfect life, good luck with that. But I can tell you right now, whatever you're doing right now ain't perfect either. So you might as well try the other one because I'm telling you, all of us over here, the waters are good. The waters are great. And the opportunities that will open up to you are endless. Like my whole journey in spirituality and enlightenment has led me to become more of like, so for instance, more aware of like what even just like the stuff I buy, the plastic I buy, the stuff on Mother Earth that's choking her. All of a sudden now that's kind of bled into this. Do we really need that or do we want that? And you know what I mean? Are we
Yeah.
hosting? Do we guys? And I'm teaching it to my boy. If they see me go, aluminum foil versus compostable, we need a parchment paper, uh, bamboo toilet paper versus,
More intentional choices everywhere around, right?
yeah, all of a sudden, because think about it, my higher power is the earth that we live on, man. And I don't know what you all, but I'm interested in taking care of not only my earth, but your earth as well, because she's my higher power. She's like my God.
Right.
And I don't know if anybody would want to shit on their God. I mean, that Nobody. I mean, you may be at odds with your God, but I don't think you ever want to like go attack him and hurt him. And
Nope.
so if your higher power, or 'cause these are all like catch words, so they can turn people off. If you know that there's something bigger than you, that keeps you humble. And in my view, it keeps you more balanced in the world because together we're amazing as a species. And we get in our own ways. Our not get we get in our we can be our worst enemies, and we can also be our best ally.
Yeah.
But I know you're not your best if you're doing anything that's messing with the way you think about yourself. And that doesn't mean I don't have days where I'm not happy with myself. I'm like, oh,
When you
okay.
compost or you make a different choice about what to buy, that's adding to your likes that you said in the beginning of we got to add up the little likes, the little things we did that we're proud of, the things we're doing that we like about their self. And I think that's a little pat on the back. Yeah. Good job, me.
When they say, "Oh, would you like a bag?" I'm like, "No, okay, I can carry it." "Ma'am, you have 8 things." I'm like, "I can be a cocktail waitress." I can carry 5 items, 8
Right.
items, or I'll put it back in the cart and drag it out,
Yep.
throw it into my back seat, and when I come home, I may have to take a couples, or you know what it is, usually my bags are in my car because
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna get another bag. People are, "Oh, well, I'm like, "No, see, that's what you think." "Oh, well." I mean, it's kinda sad. I've seen people for one thing and, "Yeah, I'll take a bag." I'm like, "It's not like you have tampons. And by the way, it's okay to go out,
Right.
you carrying a box of tampons." I'm sorry, the very thing that we need to plug is the very reason why we give birth.
Right.
Humanity.
Normalize women
And
having periods.
and you're like, "I don't wanna be seen with tampons." What? But, yeah, so but that's okay. Listen, some people are very humility and shy and older
Mhm.
generation, and there's old rules that we're still living, but that's okay. I would never condemn you. But so I go, I'm going to counter that guy who's got a bag for his pack of gum. Okay, that's fine. You do you, boo. And I'm going to sit here with 20 groceries, and I am not going to ask for a bag. And the man's going to ask me, ma'am, are you sure? I'm like, sir, I am good. I am more than good. I got bags in my car. I'm just easy to go and get them. I'll throw the bag, grocery in the bag. And you're right. And I'll drive home and go, that was a little embarrassing for me, but Mother Earth, I know, appreciates that I took one for the team.
Right. I feel good about myself. This makes
Yeah,
me
and
feel good.
everybody in line was probably going, "Can the bitch please just take a bag?" And it's bothering the cashier. I don't know why it bothers her. It's my stuff. But, there's that weird, like, everyone's looking at you kind of thing. And I still get shy and embarrassed. I don't want to be like that person, especially with my sons. They're like, "Mom, do you really have to do this?"
It's a job as a mom to embarrass our kids for
Oh,
sure. And there's no way around it. It actually it leads into what I want to end with because I know you've already given us so much time and I appreciate you and the hip needs ice and all the things the dogs need cribs and all the things. You've taken time out to be with us. I wanted to end with that. Like you said, like you still get shy or it's embarrassing with everyone looking at you in the grocery store, but let's talk about sobriety. Like, same. Like, how did you get the guts to come out sober, right? To start sharing your story. Anything that you can do to encourage our listeners and let us know because you're in
I
a
think
very high profile position to do that.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet. I think it's really important to understand and leave space for the beginning of recovery. It is a time to be a nun. It is a time to be quietly recovering, whatever that might look like.
Tuck in. Yeah, you can tuck in with yourself. Go inward. It's okay to go inward.
It's a very vulnerable time at the beginning of recovery. And there is no rhyme or reason why it takes some people longer or shorter to get to certain milestones in their recovery. And everyone's journey is different because their biopsychosocial makeup is different. And you could be twins and your sobriety is going to look different. There'll be some similarities, I'm sure, maybe because of environment or what have you, or biology. But the bottom line is it's important to appreciate and know that your journey is yours. It's special to you. It's going to look different than everybody else's recovery. That's okay. Don't let anyone tell you, we're approaching your recovery. Wait, are you showing up? Yeah, but tell them to stay in their own lane.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was very, very mortified and scared. And I felt when I was in the actual rehab, 'cause again, it was like thirty people locked down, right? And One of the things I noticed I wanted to also add earlier was when I realized I went to rehab, and this is why I was crying the whole time. I found my peeps for the first time in my life. In my 50s, I didn't feel like an outcast.
Oh,
I was there with a lot of other people who were basically had stories worse than mine. Who, my story wasn't so special anymore. They struggled with the same things I would say. They'd go, "I never fit in." I'm like, "What? What did you just say?" And then everyone in the room's going, "I never fit. Are you kidding me?" I was, and then there's one person that goes, "Well, I fit in, but I hated it," And yet
yeah.
I'm like, "Wait a minute." So all of a sudden you're in this space, in this community where they get you. Like, I got them, they got me, and I didn't know their name. They didn't know who I was. They didn't care. They're in there trying to save their lives.
They didn't know
I
who your sister was.
They don't care. Well, they don't care who you are. They really well, maybe some, I guess if you're like Lady Gaga and you went in there, I guess that would be kind of, something. But everyone was in there trying to save their lives. There was people as young as like 19 in there and as old as like 70s. My rehab was very colorful. LGBTQ community in there. We were a mishmash of people and from different states. And then there was me in there. And let me tell you, I can't tell you half their names right now. I spent 30 days with them, but I know that they were my people.
Yeah.
They were my people. And I would have gone to the ends of earth for them then and now. Because what we went through together was we were in there all trying to save our asset. We're trying to save our lives. And when you go in and you start telling, like you said, these stories that even you had forgotten about, and they just come out of you while bawling and screaming and you're on the floor and people around you who don't even know you hold you or say, "Do you need a hug right now?" Or "I don't know you, but I get you." You're just like, "Wow, thank you." And so there's that moment where you're like, I only want to be around people who are in recovery. Normies don't, no, normies will never get me. I just want to be around people like me now because there was safety in that. And the AA meetings, even though I wasn't religious, were safe, you know. And anybody who was in recovery, I'd meet somebody on the set and they'd be like, "Hey, I got 30 years." I'm like, "Oh," and we just hug,
Mhm.
you know, just
Mhm.
because that common denominator is profound. So, but in the beginning, I wouldn't even stand up in the A. They say anybody with 1 day, stand up. Anybody with 1 week, stand up. And there was that whole thing. And you'd stand up and say, "Hi, I'm John, and I'm an alcoholic," or whatever. Or I'm a drug addict, or whatever, or I'm a sex addict. I'm a gambling addict, whatever. For the first probably, I don't know, 2 weeks, I couldn't stand up. And people in the room, my rehab, we would go off campus to go to a meeting, and they would look over at me like, "She's not standing up. She's not standing up." And I would sit there and look down at my feet, and then somebody from my rehab would look over and grab my arm and say, "It's okay. You'll stand up when you're ready." And I almost felt like I was gonna throw up every time I went to try to stand up and turn into this room full of 100 people, or 50 or whatever AA meeting was, and go, "My name is Dedee and I'm an alcoholic," right? Look, it seems hard to say it now. And it comes from all the loaded crap that comes with saying those words that society put on us. Because none of it is true, but we swallowed it. But the
Mhm.
first time I stood up, to go, "Hi, I'm Dee, I'm an alcoholic." I was like, I kind of was talking, I said it and I was still going up and down. My friends from my rehab were like, "Yeah, I lost." And she started it. They're shaking. And I look over the person next to me, tears came down my eyes. And
Mhm.
each time I did it, it became a little easier, a little easier. And then what I realized was I started to look at the room and all the people that were salt and peppered in the room that were from my rehab. I noticed they had light. They had light around their heads. And there was dark around everybody else. It was almost like a gray room. But everyone in my rehab had light around them. And I realized they're my babies. They're my peace. And I'm going to fight for them. And there's, all of a sudden I got this real like, I need to fight for us.
Yeah.
And I've started to slowly realize how we are in lockdown as in our addictions because of this old narrative, the old information, the old stigma that still surrounds it. And it was this turn that happened. And actually, I'll tell you when it was. It was, I said to my manager, "I think I need to do like an interview when I get out. I think I need to really come out and own this and help others on a larger scale." than just at these meetings or one-on-one, like, podcasts or whatever. And I had an old friend, no, I'm not gonna say who it is, said to me, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I said, this is a normie, I might add. Well, actually, no, I'm not gonna say that person. This person could use a little help. Anyway, it's somebody I used to date, and we used to
Send
do.
it my way.
And I said, "Excuse me?" And you were like, "Are you sure you want to come out and tell everybody?" And at that moment, I realized, oh, now I have to, because of what you just said and your reaction. Because all I heard in that was, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Keep hiding and keep hiding. There's shame.
And I went, oh, hell no. And it was a combination of a few things, my protectiveness over my community and my peeps and our suffering for no reason other than for some damn reason, someone decided that if you have an addiction, that you don't have a disease. Because, people think literally, why can't she just stop? Why can't he just stop? Because that would make us a normie.
And that you can ask for help for anything in the world except for this.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, yeah, the butt stops here. And all of a sudden I got real like, oh, hell no. So it kind of just steamrolled, but I'm not going to say that I didn't. The first time I mentioned it in an interview, I was doing Big Sky and I was in a Zoom call up in Canada. We were in quarantine, acute pandemic. And I remember the first time I started talking about it, it was really scary. And then it just slowly got easier. And my family was very taken back that I was like, oh, it's kind of like coming out when you're from the LGBTQ community and you're like, I'm loud and proud. I ain't apologizing. I said, why would this be any different? Actually, people are dying
Yeah.
with this disease. Nobody chooses to have a disease any more than anyone chooses to get cancer. It's not a choice. There's the big problem I have. There's still an old way of thinking that it's a choice. And it's not a choice. I would never choose this. You would never choose this. No one I know would choose to have an addiction of any sort. I don't care what the addiction is, right? Because it ruins relationships and a lot of things. But then the rebirth is beautiful. There's no doubt about that. But wouldn't it have been nice to get here without all that? But that wasn't my journey, and that's okay. My journey has become a bigger thing than just being an actor or just being a sober woman or a single parent or, an environmentalist or trying, be mindful of it. It's more than all of that. I know my purpose in life. I know there's a purpose for my soul in my body in this lifetime. And my sobriety helped me get there. It's to help at least one person a day, if I can, whether talking to someone at the grocery store, using that name tag, Mary. They're like, how are you? I'm like, I'm good, Mary. How are you? And they're like, whoa, how'd you know my name? I said, your name tag, honey. Oh, yeah, yeah. Because Mary, no one talks to Mary at the grocery store.
Like, look, Mary, I don't need any bags.
But I don't look at me. Do I look like the woman who wants you back? No.
Yeah, I love it. Sobriety is a portal. It is absolutely a portal.
I'm going to steal that. I mean, I still
It's a
remember.
zinger. It's a zinger. You heard it here from Heather Lowe.
It is a portal. It is a portal, and I believe portal. Anyways, I'm totally in paranormal supernatural, which is another element of like my recovery. I went to New Mexico. I lived there for a year on Big Sky. You don't think I'm not in supernatural paranormal after my friend Kenny coming to me and then living in New Mexico for a year? Oh, honey, you really need to watch Gaia. Watch Gaia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Gaia.
I love Gaia. Gaia is my home base. Yeah. And then Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, because they're using the scientific method to do something that's really difficult to do. And yeah. So again, I just feel like at 6 years old, I'm still learning. I'm still curious. And whatever your belief is, where your soul goes to when your earth body is left behind is completely a very individual, right to have. And me knowing that this soul, your soul, I believe, my belief is that our souls are energy, man. We're stardust. We came from something pretty amazing. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm not really quite sure, but I love the ideas of people coming up with hypotheses where maybe it's them. Maybe I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe. What? Let's go there for a minute. Maybe the Bible was right about giants being real. We're cussing skeletons. Are like 10 feet tall. Wait, what? It's a real giant, But just be curious, with no judgment. And the thing is that as long as you have your soul has the vehicle, the body to make a difference in this world, this lifetime, I say go for it, man. Go for it. Go. Why not? Right? Take advantage of your body, which is the vehicle for your soul to make a difference. Especially now, I think our world and our planet and especially our country, actually we need a lot of love and compassion right now, more than ever. A lot of change going on. And if we've ever needed to bond, it's now. And that includes with animal. Yeah, for sure.
I'm with you. Thank you, Dedee. Thank you for your beautiful message. Thank you for being willing to share it out loud. Thank you for saying yes to this podcast before it ever even aired. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, Heather.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Peripeteia podcast, a talk show for women. The Peripeteia podcast is sponsored by Sunnyside. I could not ask for a better partner. Thanks, Sunnyside. Join us in the Insider community with a 7-day free trial to continue the conversation at ditchthedrink.com. And don't forget to download my free ebook, The 12 Truths to Change Your Life. Do it for the plot. We'll see you in the next episode. Lots of love.